So I'll tell you a bit about Samantha. She's our first presenter for today. So all three presenters are going to talk about poetry. Samantha's from Mexico. She's been teaching English for over 4 years already. At the moment, she's working teaching English and German in university, and she's had high school experience. And also, when she was in the UK as a language assistant, she taught Spanish. And with all these groups, she's worked on a special type of poetry that she's going to tell us about. So, hi, Samantha, how are you?
Hello, Melissa. I'm fine. And you?
Yeah, I'm great. So, where exactly are you today? What part of Mexico?
Okay, so I'm in the southern part of Mexico. My city is Tapachula. It's in the state of Chiapas, right in the border with Guatemala.
Great. So if anyone is here from her area, say hello in the chat. Yeah, I can see we have quite a few
Yeah.
fans that have come to watch you. That's great. Okay, Samantha, I'll be here to help you if you need, but when you're ready, you can share your presentation.
Okay. Thank you very much, Melissa. So I don't know, can you see my screen already?
Yes, it looks great.
Okay. So thank you so much and welcome everyone to this mini event. It's so lovely to be here with you today. And I'm presenting today the idea number 1, writing pattern poems with beginners. So this will be the plan for today. First, I'm going to explain briefly what pattern poems are. And then I'm going to show an example activity I personally do in the classroom, and it is called the color metaphor poem. And after that, finally, I'm going to show an example that one of my students has written in class. Okay, so before that, okay, can you tell me in the chat, in the comments, have you ever written poems with beginners? I would like to know about this. Yes or no? No? Okay. Some of you, yes, okay, that's perfect. No, okay, never, not yet. Great. So you have tried already poetry with beginners. Excellent. So now, what are pattern poems? So this type of poetry is written following a specific pattern. That means that they have already a preset form. So I would say it's very similar to a fill in the blanks exercise, but the difference is that with pattern poems, students might feel a connection. So they bring their personal experiences, their thoughts, their feelings. So there's really an emotional meaning behind it. So another thing about pattern poems is that they are really ideal for beginners because it helps practice specific grammar structures such as the verb to be, the present simple. And in today's webinar, I'm going to show you an example of how to use a pattern poem with the comparative of equality. Okay, so as I said, this is a very brief explanation. And then I'm going to show the example activity. I'm going to show the procedure step by step. So first of all, the first thing I do is a warm-up because I want to prepare my students for this. So the ultimate objective of this warm-up is to elicit a scenario on students' minds. So to achieve this, what I do is that I play instrumental music. This is very important. So it sets a relaxing environment, but also the instrumental music helps the students awaken their imagination and to set them in the mood to write something creative. And now, please, in the next slide, I'm going to show you this example of how I do this in the classroom. So I would like you to pretend you're my students. So this is like an example of the instructions. You are going to listen to an instrumental song with your eyes closed. While listening to it, imagine any scenario. Pay special attention to the colors and the landscape you imagine. Now, please close your eyes and you're going to listen to the music, please.
Sorry, Samantha, we can't hear the audio. But don't worry, maybe we could share again and go back to it.
Oh, okay.
Let's try again.
I could hear that actually, Melissa.
Oh, could you? Oh, maybe it was just me. Sorry about that. Let's keep going.
Okay. Okay, I hope you could hear the song. And please now, for the next one, I would like to keep participating in the chat box. And please tell me in the chat and comment, what colors and landscapes did you imagine? Blue and green, green mountains. Oh, great. Blue by a river. Excellent. Crimson. Wow, a green valley, green and waterfall. Excellent. Green brown, an ancient, prehistoric. Okay, a desert. Excellent. You see how many colors and landscapes the students can also imagine. For example, this is after the warm-up. This is what I like to brainstorm all these scenarios. Excellent. So after the brainstorming, now I show the pattern. But this is the pattern for the color metaphor poem. And also, before writing, what I do is that I model some examples. So let's say from the chat, you're as green as a valley. Yeah. And then after that, I go to the third burst, and then you're simply my, and some students had said, you're simply my favorite person, you're simply my best friend. So any noun. So after I modeled some examples, then it's time for them to write a pattern poem. And for this, please keep participating. I love this. Could you please write this pattern poem in the chat, in the comments? And I encourage you to use the answers that you already given me, all what you thought in the previous activity. Let's see. Can you please write a bit of this? You can also change the pattern if you want to. Okay, so you're as green as grass. Yes, excellent. I am as blue as the sky. Yeah, perfect. You're as blue as the sea. You're as blue as the ocean. Wow, so lovely. I love this. Okay, you're simply my whole heart. I'm taking, since the responses are coming through so quickly, I'm taking from everyone. You're pink as rose, you're as red as berries. Yes, you see? This is what I love. Oh, you're my soul. You're simply my soul. Excellent. Wow, I really love this when the students get so creative about the poems. So thank you so much for participation. And then after writing the poem, okay, well, while writing the poem, it's really important to guide and support students and also to encourage them to think creatively. And also what I do is that for them to become independent in their learning, I encourage them to use the translator or the dictionary for new vocabulary. And finally, for the follow-up activity, when after they've written the poems, then what I do is that I prefer that they choose a partner, and then after that, they recite their poems to each other. Of course, they could do it alone, but I prefer that they do this so they don't feel really nervous about it. And I think the follow-up activity is also important because it's a perfect opportunity to check and also practice pronunciation, which is something that I really love. And also students can get creative because they can use hand movements and gestures to express their poem. Okay, and finally, I'm going to show you an example of a pattern poem. And this is the one that my student wrote. He is in a A1 level. So he wrote the following. Your eyes are as blue as the sky. Your lips are as red as the sunset. You're simply my beautiful dawn. And what I like about this poem is that my student took the risk to change the pattern which I think this is also important. Even though we give the pattern, students can take risks and play with the language and change some things that they might feel that they can do, okay? So they can not only follow that pattern, but they can also change it. And as I said, play with it. And with that, I finish my presentation. Thank you so much for listening and for participating. Have all of you a wonderful day.
Thank you so much, Samantha. That was really fun. I'm jealous that people heard the relaxing music because on my computer I couldn't hear it. What a shame. I'll listen to it later. Thanks for all the audience participation. They wrote some nice poems, didn't they?
Yeah, exactly. I really love them. Thank you
Me
so
too.
much.
Me too. Well, if anyone has a question for Samantha, put it in the Q&A because we'll come back to her later. But now I want to thank Samantha and now welcome our second presenter today, which is Sabrina from Croatia. Hi, Sabrina.
Hi everyone.
How are you doing today?
Oh, wonderful. Thank you. A bit
Great.
nervous,
So
but everything's fine.
Of course, of course. Well, everyone is really excited to find out what you've got to say about poetry. But first, I'll introduce you to our audience. So, Sabrina works in Croatia in public schools, in state schools. She's got a lot of experience there. And she came there from taking a degree in English language and literature. But she didn't stop there. She also did a joint honours, a double honours in art history. And I can see that that is somewhat maybe where you get some of your creativity, Sabrina, because this next presentation is also as creative as Samantha's, maybe for a bit higher levels. So everyone, I hope that you have a great time with Sabrina. Sabrina, when you're ready, you can share your screen and I'll be here if you need me.
Thank you, Melissa. Okay, so once again, hi everyone. Today I'm going to talk to you about the power of blackout poetry. What will be discussed today? So I'm going to tell you obviously what is blackout poetry, what are the advantages of blackout poetry, and also how I implement blackout poetry in my classroom. So how I model the language and the poems according to my student needs. So let's start from the basics, and that's obviously theory. Blackout poetry is not something new. It's been here for a while. The most prominent example is the Dada movement that really reignited a love for the physical play with language. And blackout poetry is just that. It's basically physical play with the language that the students are given. Also, blackout poetry encourages poets to experiment with form and language simultaneously, which is my aim for my students to do in a classroom. And the last mention goes to Austin Kleon and his published collection of newspaper blackouts from 2010s. So how to? So this is a photo of one of my students. So the poem goes, I have said I could not love you. Then I was doubting love. This is the example that I'm going to talk to you about more in depth. So how to start? You have to identify the text you want to black out. You can give your students whatever piece of paper with whatever text you want. It could be newspaper, it could be, in my example, Shakespearean sonnet, it can be a page out of a book. Everything goes. And then you draw boxes over meaningful words, images, phrases, ideas. So whatever students believe that they can use in their blackout poetry. Then draw an image outline or arrows for reading the text, if necessary, of course. And that's that. And after completing all of those steps, you color it in. And then you have this. This is an example of a Shakespearean sonnet 115. And this is the final look of the poem after being blacked out. So tell me in the chat, have you ever tried doing blackout poetry with your students? Yes. Yeah, no, not yet. Okay. Okay, yes, they loved it. Okay, very okay. So some of you, yes, some of you, no. I do recommend for you to try, but let's get back to our presentation. So my activities, as an example, are Shakespearean sonnets. That's the latest one that I've done with my student, and I did it in cooperation with my Croatian colleague. And we did simultaneously. Each student got one Shakespearean sonnet in English, the original one, and then they got one in Croatian translation, and they had to do blackout poetry both in their mother tongue and in their first language. Second language. I'm so sorry. Okay, then obviously target vocabulary, you can absolutely pick and choose what you want to do with this. This is completely up to you, and whatever current vocabulary you are learning with your students. And of course, poetry forms such as haiku, free verse, limerick, acrostic, and so on and so forth. So basically, sky is the limit with blackout poetry, and I think that's the beauty of it, because you can do whatever you want. Okay, this is another example. I think this is Shakespeare sonnet 130 something. Love is guilty of my fall. So as you can see, it just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 words that the student picked out and formed a completely new poem for himself or herself. And this is the Croatian counterpart. Okay, so now let's talk about the advantages of blackout poetry. So I listed 5 main advantages. So first, obviously, creativity. Blackout poetry encourages creative expression by repurposing existing texts in a new and a unique way. And that's the most important part for me. Then, of course, we have versatility, because blackout poetry can be adapted to various themes, styles, levels of complexity, which makes it suitable for different skill levels and also interests of the students. Accessibility, obviously a very important part for us teachers. So this requires minimal material and can be done by anyone with an access to a printed page and a marker. And the marker doesn't even have to be like the black one. So it can be in various colors. All the colors of the rainbow are possible. Therapeutic benefits. This is also an important thing, because students need to relax and have like a little bit time off, but also learn during that period. So this can serve as a form of self-expression, relaxation, and it's also kind of similar in a way to other art forms such as painting or journaling. And the last advantage is the exploration of language, which is also important because it provides the students the opportunity to explore language and meaning in unexpected ways. So basically, they need to show a deeper understanding of text and the language that they are working with. So could you, after seeing all of this, could you implement blackout poetry in your classroom? Okay, yes, absolutely. I'm so happy to hear that. Yes, wonderful. And my second question is, would your students enjoy creating blackout poetry, in your opinion, of course? Maybe, of course. We cannot know for sure, but definitely. Okay, why not? Okay, so some students have done it, but like a B1. Okay, good. Oh, I'm so happy for that. And that is it from me. Thank you for listening, and you can find me on LinkedIn. And that's that. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Sabrina. That was lovely. They look so beautiful. I really, really want to try it with a class soon. And thanks for all the teachers who participated. It seems like they do too.
Yeah, thank you.
Great. Oh, well, let's go to our third and final expert teacher that's going to present today. It's Lucy, who's in Spain. Hi, Lucy.
Hi, everyone. Really great to meet
How-
you all.
Yeah, we've got people from all around the world, and it seems like we have so many teachers interested in poetry. That's fantastic. So I'll tell everyone a bit about you, Lucy.
Mhm.
So Lucy's from the UK, but she now teaches in Spain. What city do you teach in, Lucy?
I'm currently in Castellón, near Valencia, in the east of
Oh,
Spain.
okay, great. Quite a far away from me. I'm in the north.
Yeah.
So Lucy teaches in an international school, and she teaches infants, and she's taught primary, and she's the language department coordinator in her school. She's always doing lots and lots of different projects with students. And she's got a master's in bilingual education and a huge interest for creative things in the classroom. So I'm going to hand over to Lucy now, and I'll be here again if you need me. And everyone, keep writing questions for our presenters, because after Lucy, we'll have about 15 minutes to talk with all three presenters about the ideas today. Great. Have fun, Lucy.
Thank you. Can everyone see the presentation? Yeah, wonderful. Okay. So thank you for introducing me there, Melissa. And we're going to talk about poetry slams. So first of all, obviously, we need to define what is a poetry slam. So have you actually heard of the term poetry slam before? If you could just type yes or no in the chat box, and that would be great, so that we know the general feel in the chat. If people, oh, I can't. Oh, yeah, okay. So yes, some people have, some people haven't. So if you haven't, don't worry, because hopefully by the end of the session, you'll know all about it. And my next question for you is if you've ever participated or organised a poetry slam, for the ones that have heard of it. So if you could again type participated or organised, okay. So no, oh yes, we have a yes from, I've lost who it was that wrote yes, but when, oh, someone's organised one too, so wonderful. You can go and put the kettle on. In the meantime, we're going to find out more. And if you have organised one before, keep listening, because I might add a new perspective for you. So what is a poetry slam? The poetry slam originated in the early 1980s in Chicago at the Get Me High Lounge with Mark Smith's recitals. Okay, Wikipedia defines a poetry slam as a competitive art event in which poets perform spoken word poetry before a live audience and a panel of judges. While formats can vary, slams are often very loud and lively, with audience participation, cheering, and dramatic delivery. And this is what a poetry slam could possibly look like in the classroom. And it can be developed on a macro or micro scale. It depends on you. Personally, my first ever poetry slam was a digital poetry slam, and it was created for my group of schools during lockdown. So we went into lockdown here in Spain on Friday the 13th of March, and by the 21st of March for World Poetry Day, we'd managed to unite all our international schools with something that looks a bit like this. So this is the contribution from this year that was done by my 4-year-olds. Hopefully you'll be able to see and hear it. I'll just play that for you now. So hopefully you were able to see and hear that. So yes, thank you. He says it's lovely. So yes, it was. And it is really easy. I got my students to learn the poem, they illustrated it, and then they were able to recite it for me. I recorded them on my mobile phone. Unfortunately, you did hear a little zzz, which I've now realized that you can actually avoid by clicking on the moon button. There's a do not disturb sound. So next time, live and learn. So But yeah, you then put it all together on a video editor such as Clipchamp for Microsoft or iMovie for Apple, or an online one like Shortcut, and you've got your digital slam ready to go. Oh, sorry. Oh, okay. So the benefits of poetry slams, there are numerous benefits of poetry slams, and poetry in itself is such a versatile language learning tool that we don't use enough of. So it's great for personal expression, an opportunity for growth, empowerment. It really gives students a sense of satisfaction and it helps them with their self-confidence. It's obviously an ideal way for talent showcasing, relationship building, and youth engagement as they all work together on their poetry. And of course, we offer social change, learning opportunities, artistic exploration, and meaningful engagement. So here we have our poetry slam and its benefits. And of course, more than anything, it is fun for the students. And it's just such a great, simple way to get the students involved. So we've agreed, hopefully, that it's beneficial. So where do we begin? So how to set up a poetry slam? First of all, you would need to plan your poetry slam. You can use a different theme, the dates, the venues, the rules, the logistics. So first of all, the themes, they could be social issues. For example, my first poetry slam, we selected the health issue of the coronavirus. What else could we have done at the time? Environmental issues though, global warming, water shortages, educational issues like homework, personal issues, family, pets. Okay, the date, for me, the ideal date is the 21st of March, World Poetry Day. However, a poetry slam could be at the end of the class, at the end of term. It could be done for a special event like Valentine's Day with love sonnets, or World Water Day on the 22nd of March, or World Earth Day, the 22nd of April, or of course, yesterday, World Book Day, the 23rd of April. Okay, and Shakespeare's birthday as well. So what better date to do a poetry slam if it's not on World Poetry Day? And also for fast finishers, you know, what do we do with those students milling around at the end of the lesson? They finished and everyone else has to finish. So you send them to the Poetry Corner. They can either write a poem or recite a poem to a friend or practice for the next upcoming poetry slam. The different venues for a poetry slam would include the classroom, or at your academy or your school, the school hall, the theatre, the auditorium. If you're not fortunate to have any of those, you can contact your local council for useful venues. And if not, outside, outdoor learning is fantastic. Since I've discovered outdoor learning, I'm doing more and more of it. And ironically, those overexcited students seem to become grounded when they go outdoors and they connect with nature. Or, of course, you can create an online digital slam. So you can go from a micro to a macro scale, uniting international countries from all over the world. Okay. So the next thing we need to do is to engage and generate interest in promoting the poetry slam. We have the social media, word of mouth, flyers. You can create a poster using Canva, and even better still, get your students to create the poster. Or you can make your own promotional video on Snapchat. For example, this is the video I created for a poem I wrote myself for coronavirus, which I'll spare you the details of, but yes. Recruiting the participants and the poets. Participants, of course, can be your students. However, why not get the members of staff or the families involved? Students get so motivated when they see their parents, their siblings, their brothers and sisters, their school head, their teachers, the school secretary, the school chef, everyone, get them all involved and create a real community. And then get poets to work with you. For example, Paul Cookson I actually met him when he came to visit our school. If you do ever get the chance to invite him, he manages to control a whole group of rowdy teenagers while strumming away on his ukulele and reciting poetry. And if not, if you're not fortunate to contact a local poet, you can look up Michael Rosen for one of his videos. He's so inspirational, and like his facial expression is amazing when you see him reciting poems like hot food or low breathing in class, or another one for the younger ones is we're going on a bear hunt, and inspirational. So the next thing is to facilitate and establish the rules and the guidelines. We need rules for the participants and the audience. So the participants would need to select their poem, learn their lines, amplify their voice. There's nothing worse than the students whispering. They need to make connections with the audience, use eye contact, gestures, dramatic expression. And the audience, they need to sit in silence during the performance, respect the performers, listen attentively, applaud respectfully. And if they are participating in the judging, then they need to be fair. The next thing we need to do is organize the logistics. So the sound equipment, especially with those quiet students, the seating. I like the semicircle, but you can also use the 2 rows front facing each other, the circle or the amphitheater. My personal favorite would be the horseshoe or the U shape. And then you have the traditional graded seating. However, everyone facing the stage, but yeah, I would recommend graded seating for that. And then refreshments, are you going to offer food and drinks before or after the show, or for the interval? And that leads us to the roles, so we could get people to serve the refreshments. Not everyone is a natural poet, so why not get those quieter, shy students involved behind the scenes? They can do things like timekeeping, scorekeeping. They can work as ushers or usherettes, showing the audience where their seats are as they arrive. And then we have to motivate. We can incorporate motivational messages to energize the participants, such as, in the silence of the room, let your verses roar, or paint the air with the colors of your imagination, or in the battlefield of emotions, let poetry be your armor. You could also offer certificates, medals, trophies, house points. Obviously, those that are Harry Potter fans would understand the house system, or if you've been to the UK, a school in the UK, they tend to use houses. So we have, for example, Gryffindor, Slytherin, Hufflepuff, or Ravenclaw. And what better than to offer a small prize like a poetry book? So let's recap that. We have to plan the event, the venue, the theme, the date. You have to engage the participants and the audience using flyers, posters, word of mouth, promotional videos. You have to recruit the participants and, if possible, get professional poets on board. You have to facilitate the rules to respect the performers. You have to organize, obviously, the sound system, the refreshments if you're going to offer them, the seating, the roles. Remember that people can work behind the scenes as well. And motivate. Really motivate your students. And as you can see with this acronym, we're ready to perform and builds that extra brick on the wall. Fun ideas for a poetry slam. You could do a theme slam, as we've mentioned before, with topics like nature, identity, social justice, like ink for change, or equal verse for equality, solidarity sonnets. That has a nice ring to it, doesn't it? A costume slam. You could get your students to dress up, especially for carnival, based on the theme. For example, if you're doing something about the water shortage, get them to dress up. A collaborative slam, which is ideal for those shy students. You get them all working together and teaming up. A flash slam, which is great to improvise. You can give the students 5 minutes, for example, to go away and write a poem, and then they have to recite it. A multilingual slam. what a better way to celebrate linguistic diversity than getting all the students at your school or academy or wherever they're from united to recite poems together in their different languages. I work in the Valencian community, so Valencian is a minority language, so we can work on Valencian, German, French, English, all together, creating a sense of community for our language department. An interactive slam, get the famous poets on board or even just experts and have a Q&A session at the end of the recital. A stylistic slam, you can work on free verse, sonnets, riddles, or like we've seen before, the pattern poetry from Samantha or the blackout poetry from Sabrina. And a STEAM slam. I don't know if you're familiar with STEAM, but STEAM is an acronym for science, technology, engineering, art, and mathematics. And the idea is to use those subjects to work on your English, for example, and get them all working together. At my school, I work with young learners. So we even have students at the age of 1 reciting the nursery rhymes. Nursery rhymes are another great way to work on a poetry slam. And we get them doing things like row, row, row the boat, and they sing the song, and then they make paper boats and they have a boat race. Or especially for Easter, I love this one, but Humpty Dumpty sat on a wall, and you can do egg experiments, okay, experiments. With eggs, you can get the vinegar and it makes the eggs bouncy, or you can smash the eggs on different surfaces and investigate what happens. So, for example, on bubble wrap, feathers, bricks, cardboard, the different surfaces, and see, get ready for a messy explosion with some of them. But it's really enjoyable for the students. And then mathematics, for example, just counting the different lines and syllables. For example, in the haiku poetry, you have the 17 syllables divided into just 3 lines of 5, 7, 5 syllables per line. Or the sonnets, you have the 14 lines with the 10 syllables and the iambic pentameter that you, like Shakespearean sonnet with the shall I compare thee to a summer's day, sonnet number 18, I think it is. Oh gosh, I can't remember. Yeah, no, sorry. Yeah. Hey. Yes, sonnet number 18. Okay. So I hope you're all ready to do a poetry slam. Yes or no? Let us know in the chat. Hey, Anna Maria Aguirre says yes. Gudrun says yes. Wonderful. Samantha, wow, lots of yeses, of course. Yes, of course. Okay, so thank you very much. Can't wait to use it. That's great, Rania. Okay, so, and if you would like to contact me for more details, you can reach me on LinkedIn. Okay, and I'd love to be in touch with you.
Oh, thanks very much,
Thanks for the
Lucy. That's
Q&A.
great. That was great. I mean, it sounds like such a lovely event. I love that even the really young students, you get them to do simple things. It's a lovely whole school event to do poetry, isn't it?
It is really
Oh,
enjoyable.
can we come to your next one?
Yes, of course. Join us online. Send me a LinkedIn and we can get you involved.
Great. Well, now we've got time to take questions, which is fantastic. So let's welcome back Samantha, who talked about pattern poems for beginners. Let's welcome back Sabrina, who talked about blackout poetry, so creative. And let's, well, we're still here with Lucy, who talked about an event that you can take all these types of poems. You could take Samantha's beginner students, put them into Lucy's Poetry Slam event. You could take Sabrina's high school students and put them into Lucy's poetry event as well. Now we're interested in your questions. So do you have questions for us? We're here, we've got 15 minutes. We'll try to answer everything you need so that you can set up one of these activities or events in your classrooms. Let's take a look at the questions we've got. Let's see. We have a question for Samantha, and it's from Facebook, and it says, where did you find out about this type of simple model for a poem? It's just so simple and so it's genius. Where did you get your ideas, Samantha?
Yeah, actually, I found a book when I was at university, and the book is called Writing Simple Poetry. And actually, you will find that book, the reference of that book in the handout. So that's where I found out about pattern poetry. And actually, I have to also adapt the patterns because some of them are usually for intermediate levels, advanced levels. So I try to make it even more simple for beginners.
Oh, great. So, I mean, yeah, we'll put the link to the handout in the chat and in the comments, and everyone can look up that book. I mean, it's such a nice idea. I really love how you've adapted it. I
Thank
think
you.
I could use that with my beginner students, and I think I could use it with my older students as well, actually.
Yeah.
They
Yeah, I
might
think
just
poetry is for everyone.
Yeah, I think they might just come up with a little bit more complicated words, but they could still use the poem. Yeah, I love it. Let's see if there's any questions for Sabrina. Well, maybe it's connected to Samantha teaching beginners, but Nadika Strojanowski asks Sabrina, can blackout poetry be used with lower grade students?
Oh,
What do you
okay.
say, Sabrina?
Hi again. Nadita, thank you for your question. Definitely. I myself didn't have the experience or the opportunity to use it with lower level students, but I'm sure that you can adapt any maybe a short song or I don't know, a fable or a picture book that they can just take take a marker and just cross out something that they don't want. And of course, some type of target vocabulary for the level in question. It's everything about catering to your students' needs and abilities.
Yeah, the example that you showed on the screen, I mean, I really love seeing the real example of what your student made. What age was that student?
They're 16, 17, and they're B2
Okay.
levels. So 16, 17, B2, yeah.
Okay. Well, both Samantha and Lucy work with Samantha works with lower levels and Lucy works with younger students. So I guess they're here. Let's ask them. Lucy, could you do blackout poetry in primary?
Yeah, for primary for sure. I was thinking earlier, would I manage to do it with my younger 5-year-olds? But I mean, or even for obviously the 1-year-olds are great at just scribbling it all out. So why not? But yeah, I mean, I think possibly the 5-year-olds could be a good age to begin.
Oh,
But
it makes
what
such a
everybody
nice
else thinks.
product. So I think they would enjoy it.
Yeah.
Someone wrote in the chat, a teacher wrote in the chat that they would like to try something really simple like happy birthday song or lyrics of a song to do Sabrina's activity. And
I think that could
could be
work.
good.
Or even a nursery rhyme. You know, maybe you could adapt the nursery rhyme and work from there.
That's really true.
Yeah.
Samantha, how about your beginner level adults? Do you think they could do blackout poetry?
Yeah, I think so. I think I would recommend doing blackout poetry after students have or know a fair amount of words. They have big like enough capital linguistic capital. So I would say like maybe at the end of A1, I would say that it would be best for them so they know a fair amount of words.
Good point. Great. Well, there's some adaptions for you, Nadika. Let's go to a question that I saw for Lucy. And it is, let me find it again. Oh yeah, it's from Loni Gulani. And Loni asks, in a poetry slam, how many minutes would a speaker normally have to recite a poem? Is there a rule for that, Lucy?
I don't think so. I mean, I love the expression in English, how long is a piece of string? You know, basically a poetry slam can be as long or as short as you like to make it. You know, with my digital slams, obviously with my infants, I can't ask much more of them. So, and literally that particular poem, we managed to do that in 2 days, because this year, unfortunately, we've been very busy and it was a bit of a rush job, to be honest. But, you know, I think you can give them a short poem or you could give them, you know, a long poem. It really depends on the age group. It depends on the interest as well.
Yeah, that makes sense. And when you talk about 2 days, do you recommend doing kind of the lesson in 2 parts? Do you recommend introducing it one day and having the event on another day? Am I right there?
Well,
Okay.
in this sense, for example, we learnt the poem, on the first day, and then we illustrated it. And then during the day, I would sort of keep reciting the poem a little bit, and then I recorded it on the second day and then compiled it. And then as our event's a digital event, we just actually send each other emails or PowerPoints, and then we just view the PowerPoints internally. Because obviously as well, you can do videos of the students reciting the poem as well. But obviously then you get into the data protection with the videos.
So that was the example we saw with the illustrations and the poem that you put together.
Yeah, that example I did just in 2 days.
Oh, great. That's really nice. I liked that it brought art into the classroom, and I think all of the activities here are the kind of combining art and creativity and language, right? Let's stay on the topic of time and ask Samantha about the activity for beginners writing pattern poems. How much time do you need to include in your daily plan to do this activity, Samantha?
Yeah, so for the whole lesson or the warm-up, brainstorming and everything, it takes around 30 minutes. But also this depends on the pattern poem that students are writing, and also on the students' proficiency level. Sometimes it might take around 20 minutes. And also very important, the song is not very long. It should be around 2 minutes long. Okay, so students maybe don't fall asleep. So I prefer like not that long.
I don't think they would ever fall asleep in your class. It sounds like they're always doing really fun things. But I know what you mean. The song is just the way to start the imagination, right?
Yeah.
Does it always have to be kind of slow, calming music? Have you ever tried other kind of uplifting pop music or anything like that?
I haven't tried it yet, but I'm thinking about using some of it. So let's see how students react. But it's something I had to try yet.
Cool. Come back another day and let us know.
Yeah.
Let's ask the same question to Sabrina. With the blackout poetry with the 16-year-olds, how much time did you dedicate to making that, like one of the examples that you showed us?
Well, it depends on the student. Actually, with this particular class, we did. I took like two classes. With this grade, with this grade, I took 2 classes to finish everything. So that's like 90 minutes of time spent in a good atmosphere and creativity.
Yeah, that sounds like probably the most fun 90 minutes of class that day.
Oh,
yeah,
definitely.
well worth it, definitely. Let's see if we have any questions coming in from Facebook, because I know that we also have a lot of people watching there. There's a question that I think it's for maybe Sabrina or Lucy or both of you. And it's from Marcel Andre too. And Marcel asks, is it possible for students to kind of do poetry or do a poetry event in any subject that they're interested in? or do you as a teacher choose the subject or the text? Let's ask Lucy first. What do you do?
Yeah, well, I actually work as a PYP teacher, which means I work for the International Baccalaureate. And there we do inquiry-based learning. So I think poetry can be linked to all the different subjects. And as I explained, with the STEAM ideas and activities as well. And I think you can sort of create a global sense of learning.
So students can choose the area that they're interested in.
Yeah. And I love giving the students freedom in the classroom.
It sounds like the choice would be another kind of part of the organization and would make the students kind of more invested and more interested in the event, actually. Great. Let's kind of ask the same question for Sabrina. The example you showed was a Shakespeare sonnet, but could the learners bring in a text that they like, that they're a fan of, and do Blackett poetry like that? Or do you prefer to have everyone working in the same text that the teacher has put forward?
Well, I think both are equally important, to give them the freedom to express and pick and choose what they want to do. I had a case when a student in a vocational school that I was working at the time brought instruction manual from, I don't know, for a stove or an oven, something like that, and he decided to black out it. And it was an experience, definitely, but it turned out very, very good. So it can be anything, and I do love to give my students the freedom to choose what they want to do. The example that I mentioned with the Shakespearean sonnets is just because we were on the topic of Shakespeare, so that's kind of do something fun with Shakespeare. But yeah, everything and anything goes.
Yeah, I think that's a good motto for today. And I saw a teacher that wrote a comment in the chat, and I want to read it out because it's great. It's from Defa, and Defa says, well, if we enjoy the activity, they will. If we enjoy poetry, they will. I mean, I can see everyone nodding their heads here, right? All three of the presenters and me definitely believe that. Let's go to another question that has come in from Facebook. It's for Samantha. And it's from Purnami Rao Shekhar. And it says, could I implement this activity in a class that has very limited vocabulary? Would you recommend a class with limited vocabulary, but giving them dictionaries to do your pattern poem?
Yeah, for example, I would say like maybe when they have built like this linguistic capital, so they know words, so maybe you can pre-teach some words before writing the poem. I think that would be best. And yeah, I would say like maybe at the end of A1, I would say, I think so students don't have to rely much on the dictionary, but I think they can also use it sometimes. For example, they don't know the word forest, they don't know the word waterfall, and it's here where you can facilitate that vocabulary and or also encourage them to use either the dictionary or the translator.
Yeah, I imagine lots of hands up and how do you say this, Samantha, happening in your class, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess you could teach, pre-teach all of the colors and then some vocabulary for nature. That would help them at least make something simple. That could work.
Yeah, exactly. Actually, for example, for this pattern poem, we were practicing the colors, and also what I did first is that I show pictures of nature and pieces of art as well, so they can also like kind of bring how do they feel about this? What colors do you see? What scenarios? What landscapes do you see?
Well, that's a great idea. I like the setting, the scene kind of, yeah, that's a good way to get get inspiration kind of high. Sabrina, do you have any recommendations of things you could do before doing blackout poetry to lift the spirit and to begin feeling creative?
Well, in my experience, students, they want to be creative, and in my experience, I find that not a lot of other subjects allow them the same creativity and freedom. So I try to incorporate that. As for motivation, students, even if they grumble and don't want to do something, in the end they do it because it is fun, and they realize that with blackout poetry they can do whatever they want, and that's also some sort of minimal motivation, but it is a motivation to do something.
Yeah, it definitely is. Well, thank you, everyone. We're running out of time now. So let's everyone say thanks to Samantha Alfaro Prospero in Mexico for presenting pattern poems. Thanks to Sabrina Herceg in Croatia for presenting blackout poetry. And thanks to Lucy Durance in Spain for talking about bringing these all together in a poetry slam. We're going to say goodbye, but we're coming back soon in 15 minutes for our third webinar of today. And that is called The Role of the Teacher as an Online Remote Theatre Director by Haneen Jadala. That's going to be a really, really great one if you're interested in being creative. So thank you to everyone moderating, to Kath and to Joe, and thanks to Marcus, who is moderating and helping on Facebook. Thanks, everyone, and we'll see you soon. Goodbye.